Hello, I'm Dieter. Welcome to Win Some Lose More, and you join me for another Why I Like, a series of videos where I take you through some of the games in our collection and tell you why I like them. Now today I'll be taking you through the latest game from Stonemaier Games designer Jamie Stonemaier. This is Tapestry. Tapestry is a 1 to 5 player Euro style civilization themed game that has caused a little bit of controversy. We'll explain that when you see the components, and I'll show you how it works. I'll come back and I'll tell you why I like it. So here we have the game set up for 3 people. I've done my best to try and fit everything in shot. It's quite a big game in terms of table presence, but I've only set up 1 player board. That'll be, in theory, mine, which is made up of 3 things. We have the central, forgive the shadows, player board, which has your income tracks, resource tracks, and places for your tapestry cards, and a little help for how income turns work. You get a civilization. There is a whole stack of them here, absolutely loads. All play very differently, all affect your game. All of these boards have a strange little texture on them, but work really nice. I've played with a few, not seen them all. For the purposes of this, I've got the Merrymakers here, and then everybody gets a little capital city map. There are 6 different ones with impassable land with the orange dots, and then otherwise an open grid for you to build buildings onto. Each player gets a set of tokens, their outposts, little player pieces, the cubes, and then their income buildings and resource pieces. That's resource pieces, not Reese's Pieces. Sorry, tried to be funny. So everybody starts on 0 with their 4 resources, and all of the income tracks are full of the income buildings. During the game, you will take one of 2 kinds of turn, either an income turn or an advancement turn. Let's explain advances first, even though you do an income first. As you can see from the board, there are 4 main tracks. There's navigation, technology, military, and science. And the way you move up a track, you can see each person has a cube at the starting position. All you do to advance is pay 1 resource if you have any. So let's say later in the game I have this. I could pay to move into the first tier 1 resource, second tier 2, including whatever specialized resource matters for that one, and it gets more and more expensive as you go up. So let's say I'm going to move up on here. On the navigation, I am going to pay 1 mushroom. So there you go, I've moved down from 3 to 2, and I will move my piece onto the first thing. You automatically, when you do an advanced turn, if you can obviously, take the benefit that is shown. If ever you're unsure what a benefit means, the game comes with this reference sheet that tells you what every single space does. And you do it. In this case, for navigation, exploration, sorry, I'm going to take 2 of these tiles and add them to my supply. They will be used later on if I did it again. So everybody else has a turn. I then pay another resource to move up again. Now it's a colored in one. That means I get to place one of the tiles onto the board adjacent to somewhere I control, and I get points depending on how many terrain types match up. So this tile in particular has grassland and forest and sea. And so let's say I placed it like, ooh, that's not good, like that. I can place it however I like. I've matched up the forest here for 1 point and the sea here for 2 points. So you see around the board, everybody has a cube. On the score track, I would immediately get 2 points for placing it, and I would also gain whatever was shown on it. In this case, it is a tapestry card. So that's how advanced turns work. You pay your resources, you move up. If ever, so let's say I'm here later on, if ever you move into a new tier and you're the first person to do it, so let's pay the mushroom and culture, the food and culture, to move up into the new tier because it cost 1 of each there. and I'm the first person to do it, on each of the first spaces on each new tier is one of these 3D buildings. So here is the lighthouse. This would go into my capital city, and I can hang it off the board, but basically I want to fill up the board as best as I can. So I would put it there because it's a 2x2. If later on I get another building and fill in that final square on it, I've completed a 3x3, I automatically gain a free resource. And during income turns, which I'll explain in just a moment, I could get points for completed lines or rows. So that is something to keep in mind as well. And these buildings are very detailed, very nice tactile pieces of various sizes of all these different style buildings that relate to the different tracks. So that's how an advancement turn works, but let me just explain what the 4 tracks do so you get why you might want to advance on each of them. I've shown you exploration, gaining tiles, putting them out. Eventually you get to explore space with these slightly bigger space tiles that come in the game. If you get to the end of the track, they're much more valuable to you. But that's more towards the end of the navigation, the exploration. I keep calling it navigation, exploration track. On this side we have science. So if ever we move up here, the main action is rolling the science die. Now this science die has a couple of faces of each of the other tracks. Oops, throwing it around. And so if you move up early on in the game, it has a little X underneath. That means I roll the dice. I get to move up on whatever track it shows, so it was science again, but I don't get what I land on. I've moved up, but I don't get the bonus. Later on, we see the die symbol, so let's say I'm here, I get to roll the die, I get to move up on here and get whatever it shows. In that case, it would be points per places I control, all sorts of different things. So that's the basic function of this, is improving how I do other tracks. Military is how I expand my influence over the world. This is the smaller map for 1 to 3 players. On the other side is a larger map for the 4 or 5 player version. So what I would do if let's say I paid my resource, I moved up on the military track, I would take one of my outpost pieces. I start with 2 on my home place where my capital is, and I get to place this anywhere that I can, that I am adjacent, that is adjacent to somewhere I control. So let's say I put it here. Because I've conquered, I roll the military dice, and I can choose to take one of the faces, either a food in this instance, or a free resource, or 6 points. 6 points early on is good, but resources help you last longer during your advanced phases. And that's basically it. As you move up, if other people have moved into other spaces, let's say this one's here, I could take this one, and later I could take this. I can never take a home base because there can never be more than 2 pieces on any place. If he now attacked me, I don't have his pieces out, but if he did, I would have the opportunity to play a trap card to stop him, and I would topple them, or I'm just going to use this piece. It would normally stay there, they'd use another one. If I win, I would topple him. If he wins, he topples me. There are bonus points for conquering the middle first, but let's just take those off for now. And this was here. There we go. So that's military. Down the technology track, we have access to different technologies, obviously. And now you see this yellow card symbol, that is referring to these. There's a whole deck of them, and then a few that are available if I was to, again, let's pay a culture, move up on here. So I'm going to take one, I'm going to take the dynamite. And each technology card is structured the same in that there is a circle ability and a square ability. If we come back down to my player board, I would place the newly acquired card into the X area, and then during an income turn, which I am coming to, we're nearly there, I can upgrade it, or higher up on the track here, I can upgrade it, and as soon as it upgrades, I get to do the circle action, because that's next. If I ever upgrade it again and have met the requirements, I can put it up into the square and do whatever that does. Some of the technology cards, if we come back up, are like this one, in which the circle is just points, but the top one is an extra building. So it's not one you can just earn. You need to have got it and built it up. And then once you've put this into the square, you've upgraded it twice, you get to place this into your capital. So that's nice and simple. That's the main thing you will do in each of these tracks. But you will notice, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on this track here, that sometimes you see pictures of little buildings. Here you can do either lay a tile or place a brown building. Now what that means, if I come back out again, just enough, there we go, is I can take the leftmost associated buildings, so in this case it's the brown ones, which is these, take it off the income track and place it somewhere in here. So let's say I did have that lighthouse from before. I get to place my little income building here, in which case I've completed a 3x3. I gain a free resource of my choice. Let's say I, on my turn, paid a man and a mushroom to go here. I get a free tile, because that's what it says, and I get to add a building. So I'm going to place another one. I'm going to put that there to try and complete this row. I only need one more. And so as you build this up, you either gain resources for your 3x3s completed, or during income phase, which I'm seconds away from explaining, you would get points for lines or columns. That is your advancement turns. Eventually, you will run out of resources, as I now have. And so you take one of your income turns. You do this at the very beginning of the game as kind of a final bit of the setup. Everybody does their first income, and you follow the instructions down the side here. I'll grab another one so you can see it more closely. The 4 steps that we follow. Firstly, we activate our civilization. That's what the purple card means, because on the back of each of the civilizations it's nice and purpley, nice and clear. So we activate whatever our civilization does if it has an income turn effect. Mine, the Merrymakers, start with one of my pieces at the bottom, and I get to move up one of my pieces 1 space and gain whatever it says. So I could move up here and immediately get 5 points, or I could move this one, immediately gain a monies, and the benefits get better and better. Every civilization is different, and so you'll need to figure those out as you go through your game. Next thing we do is we play a tapestry card. Again, you'll notice there are numbers down the side. In your first income, you only do this last one, which we'll come to, but thereafter you will do most of this. So we're going to play a tapestry card. You will have earned some anyway during the game. Let's see, what did I pick up? Theocracy. And so I would play this, or if I built up a hand of them through various effects and bonuses, I could choose one. But let's say I chose Theocracy. If I play this, it says this era, you cannot advance on the science track. Whenever you enter a new advancement tier, gain 4 points. So I placed that here. We were makers of fire. That's what denoted our civilization. That was the history we'd forged. We are now adding a new chapter to our tapestry. We're weaving in this era of theocracy. And so that's now in effect for the rest of the turn, for the rest of the round, until we do another income turn and I add another one of these. This is how you defend in military. If you can reveal a trap, you win instead of them. If not, you can just gain 10 points for playing it as a tapestry card. But there are literally loads of these cards, all of them beautifully illustrated. No 2 are the same, and they are lovely, each with very different effects. Some of them are when played, something immediately happens, or the this era that you saw. So anything can happen with those. These will help you develop your strategy as you go through. So we've played one of those. So next thing, oops, excuse me, is this thing here. We upgrade one of our technologies if we can. In this instance, I don't have one, so I don't do it, but I'd gain that circle or square benefit, as I said, and then we score any points that we can see on our income tracks. Now, as you can see, we have revealed the first ones here, so I would get a point for each technology card if I had any, and I would get a point for each completed line or row. As I revealed more of these spaces by building buildings, I'd score that again, and then 10 points each income. This side similarly is just 3 points here, and this is for the amount of territories you control. And what have I revealed? I've got just 4 points that I would score because I have no technologies, no lines or columns completed yet. But we then move on to the final bit, which you do in the first one, and all of them except the last is you gain resources. Again, we look at the tracks. Here I would get 1 monies because we can only see one people, 2 food, and 1 culture. So as you go through the game, your incomes will improve, you'll get better as you reveal more and more things from your board that you gain as income. After you have played your 5th income turn, so you do an income at the beginning, you do advancement turns until you run out of resources, you do another income, you do that round and round. Once you've done your 5th income, you have finished. Other people may still have a few turns left to do. Usually it doesn't take too long between the first and last person finishing, but then you check how many points you have, and whoever has the most points wins. So why do I like Tapestry? My first comment is the same as my first comment often is in many of these videos, is look at the art. It is beautifully done. The artist Andrew Bosley, if I'm going to get that right, yes, Andrew Bosley, who I think is even award-winning artist for Everdell, which is a game from last year before maybe, which is very popular, again, predominantly because of its look, and then people played it and really enjoyed the game, but the look is what drew people in. The look of this game is beautiful. All the card art just is lovely, works together. It's just a very almost pastel-y, I don't know anything about art, so pastel-y might not be the right word at all. Oily, for all I know, watercolory, I don't know these words, but it's just it's washy. I don't know what to say. It doesn't have the defined lines of like a comic book. It's yeah, washy. I don't know. You've seen the art, you understand what I mean, hopefully. If not, it's beautiful. It really captures me. There's a lot of different art styles that I enjoy. This is one that just puts me at ease. I'm not sure how else to say it, but it's lovely, and all the graphic design choices just work with it. I was playing this week just gone, and somebody suddenly realized that the backings of the Tapestry card match the backing of the board you're placing the Tapestry card onto, and just those really subtle choices. Well, not so subtle, because it's how they define, they show you what to do. Is the Tapestry card is the yellow and green thing. So it's there, it just makes it all fit together that you are building this continuous thing. The rivers on the tiles confuse people a little bit, but I just say it's a printing thing. I know it's not, it was a definite choice, but just, it was a printing thing, so deal with it. It's only the big bits of water that match up. Never mind. So the look is great. The models, which are the thing that have caused the most controversy with this game, there are 2 main things. The first is probably the models themselves. When I saw all the preview stuff, I was unsure. They looked cool, but totally unnecessary. And now that I've got the game, they're really cool, but totally unnecessary. And I know that's the same thing, but my stance has shifted from owning it and playing it, and the designer's intention was for that added tactile experience that you are getting this big building to put on this thing. It does work. It does give you that added layer of sensation, and therefore for me, enjoyment. It could have been tiles, it could have been cheap plastic, it could have been wood. Wood might have been nice, but whatever it might have been, it's not. It's these things, and they're much better in real life than they look. Probably even in this video, any other I've seen, they go, yeah, they're cool, they're okay, but in real life, being able to touch them, being able to look at them, look at all the little details, they're very well done, and they do add something to the game. So yeah, production wise, as ever with Stonemaier games, I've got a good number of them. I've played nearly all of them, and every time the production quality is exceptional. That was the main selling point for me of Wingspan, was the production. Scythe is my #1 game from the same people. my number one game at all, and the production's just great with the dual layer boards and all the pieces and all the models and everything, and the art. Again, they're just very good at production, and this is no exception whatsoever. In this game, I was just telling you we were playing the other day, we were playing this on one table, other people were playing something else on the other table, and a couple of those guys spent almost more time watching our game than playing their own, just because it looks so interesting, it looks so captivating, that they were distracted from their own game and just paying attention to ours. So look, brilliant. But gameplay, is it a civilization game? This is the other controversy. Usually for more hardened gamers than myself, a civilization game means something. It means a certain style or a certain feel of game, a certain weight of game that I'm personally not used to. I've not really played Civ games as they're known. There's some very popular ones. Sid Meier's Civilization is one. Gosh, what are they called? New Dawn, Golden. For goodness sake, Through the Ages. Very, very popular card game from CGE. There's just these big, long, in-depth, almost micromanaging this development of this civilization, and you are involved in everything, and if I've discovered this, you can't, because I've, whatever it is, I've discovered this famous person. It tends to follow our history, our discoveries, our landmarks, in the growth of various civilizations on our planet, in our reality. Again, specifically, the designer said, I don't want that, I want you to create your own, and so created a framework, which is why it's much more zoomed out, it's much more Euro-y, if that means anything to you, just tracks and points, than some of those other ones are. And so I get it, I really enjoy that. I like the physical mechanism of, you just move a cube, that's all you're doing, you pay a resource, you move a cube, that's your turn, do it again, do it again, do it again. Oh, I don't have any, okay, I do an income turn, right, I've set myself up again, pay resources, move cubes, pay resources, move cubes. Like in function, in physical action, it's incredibly simple, like Scythe, move your pawn, move your pawn, move your pawn, that's it. And or Viticulture or any other of his games, it's just incredibly simple what you're doing, but it's the depth of why, what you're trying to achieve, which of those tracks you focus on, how you play your tapestry cards to help that, which of the technologies might boost what you're doing, which income tracks do you want to focus on, all these kinds of things. Just provide that depth for you, but it's such a simple game. And some of these civilization games don't seem like that to me. They're ones I'd be really interested to play, but I don't know when I'm going to have 4 hours to learn it. Whereas I learnt this in an hour with just the two of us. So it's caused that controversy. And in my experience of playing it, I've played it now, every player count. And my second game seems to be the experience I had is how I now understand how some of the other people have their experience. My first game, everything just lined up. I had a really simple civilization, relatively. It didn't impact my strategy. It's the Merrymakers. You just get a bonus each time, and you just choose what that bonus is. Not massively affecting on your game. And so I got to play the game just very simply and discover it the way I wanted to, and I won and did well, and I was like, oh, this is exciting, really exciting, great, hooray. And then played my second game at a completely different civilization, completely different hand of tapestry cards, and then tried to play the same way, and it just didn't work out, and I got like 80 points for the whole game, and I'm sat there going, oh, I don't know what I think about this now. Oh, I'm deflated a bit. And that's the thing I've noticed most. If people go in thinking they know what this game is and what they're supposed to do with it, they probably won't enjoy it as much, and that's such a shame. If you go in completely open-minded, knowing nothing about it maybe, and just the person that's teaching is like, just focus on a couple of tracks, just do these things. What's your civilization? What do your tapestry cards say? Allow those to inform your strategy. Either come in brand new or have played it a few times and have learnt that lesson. It's amazing fun. It is so good pulling off those bigger just these turns, super satisfying, where suddenly you pull off something really big, really important that you've been working on for a little while. Suddenly I'm going to move up to here, which allows me to repeat this thing, which moves me up on that track to get these buildings, to fill this in, to get the extra resources so that this age is going to be huge. Like, that's an amazing feeling. And they happen more often the better you've planned. Yes, there are luck elements. Yes, you're drawing tapestry cards and you don't get one that perfectly complements your civ. That's going to happen. People keep attacking you and you haven't drawn any trap cards. That's going to happen. But that's okay. Because if you've planned well enough, if you've understood your civilization well enough, if you've chosen the tracks accordingly because of that, that will matter less. And so yes, there's a random elements, but they are not directly mitigated, but you can account for them and work around them. And if people don't get that going in, I've had a couple of people who have not as much fun as the rest. As I say, I did that second time. I didn't have as much fun. One of the guys who's like super strategic and was trying to do everything because it's a Euro, didn't do very well. Whereas some people who are just like, oh, I like fighting, so let's go all up on the military, did really well. Oh, I like these technology cards, so I went heavy on that, and they did really well, because you just focus on one or two things and not just hope that it works with your civilization, but actually plan that if it's a civilization that requires that kind of thing. As I say, there's a few, like the alchemists, merrymakers, those kind of people, the entertainers to some degree, where it doesn't really matter which one you choose, just choose a couple, play that game, and this will help you and boost you a bit. So there's differentiation, that's not a word, differentiation, difference, whatever the word might be, between the different ones as to how you approach the game. And you need to know that or know nothing, from my experience so far, which is only, say, a handful of games, 5, 6, 7 times, to get the most out of that. And that's why I like it, because I'm getting my head around that and I'm having fun exploring the different civilizations. I've looked through them briefly, but I haven't seen them all in action. The different tapestry cards, I've probably only seen a third of them even in all this time. I enjoy pulling out the solo, which is good. Check out the solo if you're into solo games at all. This is a good one. It's just flipping a card, doing a couple of things. So it's not a full dummy player. You only need to move up a couple of things at a time. That's it. It takes probably a quarter of the time your own turn does, and so it doesn't feel like it's distracting too much, but it's really good. But I like doing that to try out a different civilization, see how it works, see if I understand it. So there's a lot of variety. Maybe if I've played all however many civilizations there are a couple of times each, maybe I'll get bored, but that's 30-40 plays. That's a lot of play, and in that time I'll have taught other people and played with different people, and so I'll have to change my game, and so it won't be repetitive from the last time I used a civilization. So yeah, a lot in this box. It's a biggish box, thicker than standard games that come in this size square, probably 50% bigger, largely from those models that you saw, but it's just really good, a lot of content. I'm really pleased I bought the extra dice. I got scoffed at by my brother for wanting to buy an additional set of dice, but it's worked out very well. It's been one of the main comments, weirdly. People enjoyed the game, but go, oh yeah, does everybody get their own set of dice? No. In 2-player that was, it's good that everyone gets their own. Well, they don't. I just bought an extra set, but in the 4 or 5-player, they've been like, oh, it's really good having this, because I put just a bunch of dice in each corner, so it works. Not essential at all. Great game. Tapestry, I don't know why I put it down, I'm finishing. Tapestry from Stonemaier Games, designer Jamie Stegmaier. Becoming one of my favourite games. After my first couple of plays, I was like, yeah, it's good. I'm happy with it. I'll keep it. It's not going to challenge my top 10. I think last time I looked at my ratings, it's probably at about 14. So it's starting to think about challenging my top 10. And that's... So it's a solid top 20 game of, I don't know, 150 currently. So it's good, really good game, really enjoying it. It's my level, as I say, of that balancing between simplicity and depth. It's not complicated turns, it's a deep game to some degree, but not so deep that you sat there for 3 hours figuring out one move. It's great. Tapestry. Concise as ever. I'm becoming known for my concision, if such a word exists. I hope it does. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to stay updated with what we do, you can subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so you get notified when new videos come out. They're usually weekly. You can follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. You can find us by searching Win Some Lose More. I look forward to seeing you again. I've been Dieter. Thank you very much. Bye.